on for a while, and you can lose lots of poker hands to people that are doing dumb things with their money. But over time, I would hope that basically, if you're playing properly, you're going to come out ahead.
Are people doing dumb things with their money when it comes to the big mega cap tech stocks?
A lot of the big cap tech stocks are pretty good businesses. I mean, if you look at the businesses, if you look at an Apple or you look at a Google or even a Facebook, whatever your politics might be on this, and there certainly are risks, but they're very, very high return on capital businesses. Most of them see their profits in cash. I mean, we have no quarrel with that. And so if they trade at 20 times cash flow or something like that in a market with lower interest rates, that certainly might be an appropriate valuation. I don't know. But that's not where, that's not the pool we're swimming in. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's lots of other businesses that aren't great businesses that have gotten inflated valuations.
Would you short some of those big tech names because of possible regulation?
I don't think so. I mean, that's hard to. There are some interesting regulation plays, I think, out there with the new administration, but I don't think big cap tech yet is in there. I could be wrong, but counting on antitrust or something or a breakup is not something we find interesting in this market.
Now, you are friendly with Joe Biden. I know you've talked with his campaign over the last couple of months. How scared do you think Wall Street should be of how tough he'll be on market regulation, on tech regulation, on taxes?
Well, I think that, first of all, I think that the incoming administration is not going to be anti-market. I do think they probably will be tougher on bad actors in the market. I've dubbed the current environment the golden age of fraud. And I think, and I'm hopeful that the incoming administration will toughen the cops on the beat, if you will, in the marketplace. But that should be a good thing. I mean, that should be something that everybody wants.
Do you find that the incidence of fraud candidates is correlated with the multiples of the market, given where we are right now? I mean, does the current environment compare with 2000 or 2007 in terms of opportunity sets?
Oh, it's much greater today. I mean, so I teach a course on the history of financial market fraud, and one of the things we teach, Scarlett, is that the fraud cycle follows the financial cycle with a lag. And the longer a bull market goes, the more people's sense of disbelief erodes, and they begin to believe things that are too good to be true. And I think we're seeing that now more than we've probably ever seen before, in terms of the willingness of markets to buy outright frauds, or where there's evidence of fraud, or even where the evidence of fraud is sort of laid out for you. I hearken back to the Wirecard episode from earlier this year as a company we were short in Germany. And for a good, better part of 18 months, short sellers and journalists were pointing out a fact pattern that almost inescapably would lead you to believe that there was wholesale fraud going on at this company. And it wasn't until the company itself admitted the fraud in June of this year that the stock collapsed from 100 euros to single digits. And prior to that, almost everything you needed to know was actually out in the public domain on this company. And we're seeing it similarly today in a number of our shorts that we think where there's fraud, particularly some of the Chinese frauds. It is absolutely just remarkable to me as to how many instances of outright fraud are sort of hiding in plain sight. And investors continue to buy the shares of these companies because the companies themselves haven't admitted it yet.
What does it say about the current environment that you have to wait until the company admits fraud before the rest of the market believes it?
I've never seen anything like that. That is new. And that's why I think, that's why I've dubbed this the golden age of fraud, in that prior to this, companies that are credibly under a cloud because of evidence would begin to underperform the markets rather dramatically. And now that's not the case, and in many cases these companies outperform the market until the companies admit the wrongdoing. And that's a really, really new phenomenon, and that's one of the reasons why I think the risks in this market are much higher than people think. Because if people are willing to believe criminals who until the criminals themselves admit the crime, you have a very speculative market.
So your specialty is looking for legal fraud, where companies may be following existing accounting rules or regulations, but they're exploiting them with an intention to deceive. However, it's still legitimate. It's still, the lawyers have checked off on it. The accountants have given their okay. How different is that from gaming the system, which is generally something that is seen as a good thing on Wall Street?
The prime example of legal fraud was Enron, right? Where everything they did was legal under the accounting regulations, and they were not prosecuted for accounting fraud. They were prosecuted for lying to their investors. And so it just depends. It depends on the magnitude of what the company is trying to pass off as legal under the accounting or regulatory rules. And is it material to the business? And then if so, when does the market care or does it care? And the poster child of that more recently was Valeant Pharmaceuticals, which went from $10 to $260 back to 10 because it was convincing investors that its pro forma cash earnings per share were $12, and in fact they were losing money. And so, but nothing they did was illegal under the regulations or the accounting rules.
So how much of your current short portfolio do legal frauds, suspected frauds make up right now? And what do you think that will get to in the next couple of years?
I would say it's probably near all-time highs in terms of companies we can point to where there's something wrong with the financial statements, whether legal or not. I would say right now, looked at it a couple months ago, I think it was about 30% of the portfolio, 35% of the portfolio, about a third. And that's high. I mean, to have a portfolio 1/3 of frauds is unusually high for us.
What would it normally be?
It normally would be maybe 10%, 15%. Not everything's a fraud. Most shorts are business model issues or business environment issues, and not actual fraud. But now we are actually seeing instances of fraud.
So there are frauds, and then you mentioned there are business balance sheet problems. There are things where something's very hot, like EVs. What category is Tesla in?
Tesla's EV certainly the market leader in that, and then I think we talked about big cap tech. Having said that, I think that it's really a business model and a valuation issue with Tesla. I mean, there's some things we don't like about their accounting as well, but I mean, this is a company trading at $500 billion market cap. It'll have revenues this year of $30 billion, and despite what everyone says, they're still an automobile company. They make cars, and so they're competing with other companies that make cars, and increasingly those other companies have EVs as well. And so, Tesla, every bull market has a stock that people pin their hopes and dreams on. Back in the .com era, it was Cisco and Yahoo and a few others, JDSU, and certainly one of those stocks this go around is Tesla, because for some holders it's an EV company, for other holders it's a clean energy company, for other holders it's an autonomous vehicle company, and it's whatever people want to believe that Elon Musk is touting, and that the traditional rules of valuation do not apply to it. I would just point out, as I always do, that for the trailing 12 months, Tesla has not made any money selling cars. The trailing 12 months, whatever profit they've shown, it's been very, very low, has been from selling tax credits. So for all of this, for all of their market leadership and selling $50,000 on average cars, they're still not making any money doing it.
Have you ever met Elon Musk or talked to him?
I've never met Elon Musk.
Have you ever had a conversation with him or even a tweet firestorm with him?
I don't know about a tweet firestorm, but no, I've never had a conversation with him.
Going back to that idea, people project whatever they want onto the company. You announced your Tesla short back in the fall of 2015, so this has been, what, a 5-year saga. And all your shorts, I remember you're saying, are capped at 5%. Are you still max short on Tesla?
No, we're not max short, only because there's not only, but we are still short, but there's now so many other things to do, including in the EV space, that we found lots of other things that are maybe even crazier than Tesla. but we still do have a position, and it's been painful, clearly. But I will say, for the first 4 years of those 5 years, it was actually not a bad short. It went sideways, while the market went up a lot, and so those